Wow.
Wow.
That's like a 12-inch pizza right there. Like a personal pan right
I
there.
think it's a 14-inch. Good, I think.
I thought the Viper was crazy. Woo! That's why we call it Rowdy.
So what we're doing right now is, slightly unfortunately, we had replaced the hubs on the car when we got it because they fail when you track them. And we got the good ones, the X-Tracker hubs. And then when we needed to update the ABS needs the newer style hubs. So we have the newer style hubs now, X-Tracker hubs. We're gonna put these in so we have what we need. Ta-da! One hub with ARP studs down.
Remote to go.
Yep. So the only thing I'm looking at right now is there's two ways I could take these off. So the AP brakes, it's a radial mount caliper. So the brackets for the brakes, there's a bracket that bolts on like the stock, but then it comes up and then there's studs that come out of that. So this caliper actually slides on. So I could undo these two nuts and slide it off, and then the rotor will come off, or I can undo the bracket and then just the whole caliper will come off on the bracket. When you slide the caliper off, like on those studs, like I don't know about after so many heat cycles if they're gonna be like not straight anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And then it'll be like a pain in the butt to wrestle the caliper back on. That's the only thing I'm just thinking like, well, if I just take these bolts off the back, that'll be easy and done.
Wow. That's like a 12-inch pizza right there. Like a personal pan right
I
there.
think it's a 14-inch. So we talked about in our video, but you couldn't really see the billet spindles. These lower where the wheel bearing sits, or raise it technically, which lowers the car, but they also have camber machined into them. So like when we did the alignment, we actually had like 8 degrees of camber when we put it back together. So we had to like bring the camber out to where I wanted it. But yeah, now we're just gonna undo these 3 bolts. These will come off, the other ones will go back on, and we'll be good to go.
Explain to me what you're doing currently right now.
Yeah, so the coilover comes down and the bottom bolt for the spindle comes out right by the coilover. So I can get this in, but there's no more room behind it. So this ratcheting wrench goes on there perfectly, so I'll be able to put that in. And it'll give me very similar leverage to the ratchet I was using, so it should be fine. It should, of course, stay. Always check for the little electrical connector holding you up right in front of your face. Come on. All right. If we didn't have the wheel studs on it right now, like I'd be having to hold the wheel. The wheel might fall off right now, and that just irritates the heck out of me. I put studs on every BMW I ever had because I hate the bolts. I hate the wheel bolts. They're just so, and I mean, I've talked to BMW techs and they're just like, oh, well, you just gotta, whatever, get used to it, or like, no, it's terrible. The German style of putting on wheels, I'm sorry, I like German stuff. Ours, the wheel bolt thing is stupid. We have a car here that has wheel bolts. Plus, like, could you imagine with these wheels starting those lug nuts with standard length? These are 3-inch studs, and look, it barely gets there so my fingers can tighten that in there. Like, yeah, if you had the regular ones, you'd be holding the wheel up trying to get, it's just, yeah, for whatever reason, if you're changing a hub for sure, like wheel bearing or whatever, like just put your studs in, or if you ever have one break, I mean, obviously if they're ARP, they're should be stronger than, you know, your factory stud anyways. Good? Just gotta get that connected through the hole.
Okay, cool.
There we go, all right. Go in. So, can I just order axles for a newer car, or is it different in my, you know what I mean? Do I need some sort of crazy hybrid axle now because I have whatever diff I have that you built and then the newer hubs now? Okay, well, yep, that wasn't in the budget. Of course. All right.
Yeah, what's easier to replace?
So we're done. It's all done. We're good.
Oh man. You know, it's moments like this where you just gotta sit back and.
So the 09 and up, they have a 33 splined hub. So the outer part of the axle shaft is 33 splines. We called RPM because they built us our transmission. I remember talking to them about this because I had heard something about different axles. And so I had talked to them about it when we built the diff, because they did the trans and the diff, you know, about like, oh, should I get new axles? And they said, no, you're fine. So what I didn't know is, well, did they build us, you know, an 08 specific diff or something like that that would have the smaller, you know, spline count in the diff? So we called them up and they said, no, all of the newer ones, the differentials are all the same, but the stub shaft on the wheel side, is a 33 spline. So we ordered some ZR1 axles, just some GM ones. Luckily, they were pretty good price, and we were able to get them wholesale from Summit. When they come, we'll throw them in, but we didn't want to completely immobilize the car, have it stuck on the lift. Whatever, the car is still mobile now. But again, the whole reason we were doing this is our motorsport ABS system required the newer ABS sensors, which are built into the hubs on these cars. So we had to swap our hubs for the newer ones, which now leads to us needing to replace the axles with the newer axles. So the axles come in, we will finish this project up, and we'll get the new ABS all hooked up, and we're one step closer to our goal of one lap of America. So. Good, I think. You saw where I was going with that, right? Here, give me that impact gun. Let's get this done.
Okay, perfect. On the right setting too.
You saw where my mind was at with that, right?
Oh my gosh.
It did not come with a new nut, so I'm like, if it's the different nut, you can't get this done.
I'm gonna be real honest. I would have cried. It would have been like a moment of like, I cannot believe GM would stoop this low.
Oh yeah, so cool.
Cool beans.
You know what, I'm actually kind of happy with the axle because I guess we can get this on camera here. While we weren't planning on replacing the axles because we don't really drag race, it does have some, you know, some grooving. I mean, these are 20,000 mile axles, but now that we have new axles, the rubber is new on the CV boots because it's brand new. And not that these had all the miles on them, but they did have all the age on them. So we don't have these grooves anymore in the new one. It's brand new, and we have brand new CV boots. So I can't tell if the shafts are larger, but the splines are much larger. That is a much beefier. Original?
Yes, original.
New ones right here. So
yep.
I don't know if the shafts are any different.
No, those look about the same.
Yeah, but the splines are definitely
It literally
different.
looks like they just changed the end on them.
We did all of this in the name of like saving time. And yeah, well, the thing is like when you're cutting into all that stuff and like you have to program the adapter, and I'm like, you know what? The chances of something going wrong there when you're talking about, when you're using the ABS, it's not the best situation anyways, right? Like, and the chances of something going wrong with that and relying on it and then it failing are like, it's not worth the risk to like how much stuff we had to do that like, we just thought we were gonna swap in some different wheel bearings and be done, and nope. A lot more to it than that.
So just to reiterate, top bolt, caliper bolts, axle bolt,
caliper bolts, axle bolt, wheel bearing bolts, tie rod end, nut, sway bar, coilover bolt.
All right.
Ta-da! How long was that?
That was 41 minutes, so.
Okay, well it wasn't super fast, but it's done. So, yeehaw! Driving the Viper, the pedals feel totally different. The clutch take-up's totally different.
Yeah! That's a good downshift.
That's why we, you know, it's like one of those things like, oh, why didn't you make it less sensitive? Like, it's like, well, that we wanted it sensitive for doing things like that. That's why. You can't do those kind of downshifts with a heavy clutch. It doesn't